mean, I think about, what was it about Memphis in 1965? Something in the water, or was there was a recording studio.
Right.
And all of a sudden there was a place for kindred spirits to coagulate. Same thing in Muscle Shoals. You gotta go to Nashville, you gotta go to Nashville. I don't know about that. I mean, at some point, if you want to make a living doing it, it's probably not a bad idea. But I don't think Nashville has a monopoly on talent.
This song right here is called We Got a Good Thing. Graham and I wrote this together this year, since we've never played it really together, so we're going to see how this thing goes.
I went to college and got a degree, worked in my profession for 10 or 15 years, and then we bought a piano to kind of furnish a room. It was a big living room, and we had put the couch and everything in it, and it still wasn't full. So my husband, Kelsey, he said, we should buy a piano. It would look beautiful in this space. So we did, and I was against it because it was very expensive, and I was mad that he went and bought it, but I just took to it, and I started to play it all the time, and songs just kind of happened. I had no plan about it. It just happened, and then I had written maybe 30 songs.
Well, I started off in marching bands in junior high, and then on into high school, and then I marched for a year in college, and then I joined the Army National Guard, and I did the Army band for 6 years. I went all over the place, but I was a horn player, played brass instruments, and I'd always liked the idea of playing guitar, but I never taught myself. But I also like to sing, and I was singing cover songs and doing karaoke and things. But I found it really hard to play a trumpet and sing a song at the same time. You just can't do it. You look like an idiot, and quite frankly, nobody wants to hang out with you because they think you're some kind of circus act or something.
Got the feeling that you're someone I can't live without when I'm next to you. Get me high. So that's 2 verses to begin. So I think we should just pick up one. So we need to cover
Or just do a half a verse for the second verse, you mean?
Yeah. And
I think that'd be good because then we can get back to the hook quicker, which
right.
the ear is going to want to hear that hook quicker, I think. Definitely,
Yeah. So as a female, I could say we look at, like, if we feel a connection, then maybe it has something to do with the eyes, like we're looking into their eyes.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good start on that.
Something in your eyes.
Like something in your eyes, like something in your eyes that makes me want to notice you.
I like that. That's good.
Something deep inside that tells me you feel like I do. What about that?
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Something in your eyes makes me want to notice you.
I would play around like on the steps of the frat house or the house I was living in Hattiesburg. I'd gone back to college for a while, and somewhere along the line I found open mic nights, and I'd started kind of scribbling things and trying to make them into songs, and I thought they were really good, and they really were fantastic songs as long as I wasn't playing them for somebody else.
So I started playing in the coffee house, and it was well received, and ended up somebody saw me in the coffee house that had other opportunities for me.
And it seems that after Hurricane Katrina, kind of everything was realigned because all the places that used to be on the beach were not on the beach anymore. They were up in people's front yards, God help us. And music was just totally different from that point. And it seems to me that about that time, that's when we started seeing more and more people getting out that were songwriters and writers' nights, and then a need for this. And it's a beautiful thing that's happened, I think, because it's given people the chance to come out of the woodwork and find other people that think the way we do as writers, which is typically a crazy, off-the-wall, obscure, nutty personality.
So, 2005, which was near the end of 2005, you're reeling from, not having a home to live in, not having flood insurance, how am I going to live? And it takes about a year of emotional turmoil to recover. So I spent that time, and that's what kept me sane, was going into the studio and recording these songs.
Well, I guess about a couple of years ago, I'd written this song about Jimmy Buffett, and it was basically themed after an idea that I had when I was a teenager back in '93. I went down to Key West for spring break and thought maybe I was going to meet him. I was, I guess, about 14 years old, and of course I didn't meet him. What I did find was the Margaritaville store in Key West, and ended up having a hamburger, cheeseburger in paradise, and I had kind of written him a letter in my head, that I thought I might mail him, and I think I'd even written it down at one point. I decided to write this song based on that letter and that idea that I had about, hey, dear Jimmy Buffett, I'm your biggest fan, kind of thing. Of course, in between the time I was 14 or 15, and in my 30s, I started writing songs, so the gist of the letter became more of how I'm a songwriter trying to follow in his footsteps than just a fan, although I'm still both. And that's how the song came to be. I wrote it in my kitchen. I think it was nighttime. I probably was sitting there in my boxer shorts, barefooted, probably drinking a beer or something. That's how most songs are written these days. Don't let anybody fool you. And I put it in this kind of obscure contest, an American Songwriter magazine, and it won first place for the best lyrics for the 2 months that they ran the contest, and they ended up printing it, and they ran a little article on me in there, and that's how Jimmy's people actually found it, was on the internet.
I was feeling that, you don't even want to turn on the news anymore. It's just such a scary place. And I had a young child at the time, so I was like, wow, you really want to protect your children from the world. And I just felt inspired to go write a song. It hits you. It's hard to write on a schedule, and you, sometimes something will pop in my head or some inspiration. I will just run to the piano or the guitar and write it all in 5 minutes, So it is hard to write on a schedule, but I sat down at the piano and just kind of wrote it all in about maybe an hour. About a year later, I had my CD pressed through disc makers. And they said, oh, you can get a free Sonic Bids membership with your order. So I said, okay, well, it's free. I didn't even know what it was. So I signed up for Sonic Bids. And Sonic Bids I highly recommend it. I've had a lot of great things happen to me through Sonic Bids. It's like a little website, and they alert you with opportunities like songwriting contest or publishing deals, or somebody needs this for a television show, So they kept alerting me about this John Lennon songwriting contest. Well, John Lennon, I feel very connected to him. I feel like he's one of the most beautiful singers and best songwriters ever to, walk the earth. So I've always really loved him. So I said, well, I like John Lennon. Let me go ahead and, I'll just enter this contest and see what happens. And so I did, and then literally a month later, I had a phone call. I asked her, I clarified it. I said, well, what if there's like a lead part? She's like, yeah, you could put that in there, but just not fully produced.
So the acoustics were either a fiddle or a mandolin.
Yeah, I would say
we're on
two
the right
instruments.
track of doing exactly what we've been doing.
I said, what about harmony? She's like, yeah, you get harmonies in.
All right,
Okay.
well, cool. So we're
That's what we're
doing
doing.
exactly
Yeah.
that. All right.
It just needs to be really clean and a great vocal, because a vocal sells a song.
Does that feel right?
See it in my eyes.
You want click?
Is it real? Nah, or just my imagination running wild. Or just my imagination running wild.
Imagination running wild. I'm gonna try.
I like all those fills when we're not singing that you did. I like that. Like there, like that too.
7:35 on a Sunday morning. I always remember that because that's when I opened up my email browser and saw it had this email from an address I didn't recognize, and all the email said was, hey Matt, you should give me a call. JB wants to talk to you. And I read that, and I looked away, and I looked back and I read it again. I said, no, can't be. And I read it about 3 more times, and I I got up and I did a little walk around, sat back down, wiped my eyes, and I thought to myself, I said, when I find out what fool has sent me this email playing this awful joke on me, their day is going to be numbered, you know. And I did what I normally do in my day job, investigating things. I took this guy's email address, and it was his name attached to an email prefix. So I Googled this guy's name and the email address, and then that's when this website came up, and it happened to be an internet company that works with Toby Keith and Zach Brown and Jimmy Buffett. And well, I sent a bunch of my songs off to Jimmy's record label, Mailboat Records, and I had been talking to the one of the guys that works for the label, and at this point I hadn't talked to Jimmy yet. I had just emailed back and forth with the label guy, and they ended up inviting me to a show, and they let me pick what show to go to. So I picked the closest one and the soonest one that I could find, and I went to Birmingham, Alabama. And so I actually played here at this bar the night before so I could get some gas money to drive up there. And about 30 miles outside of Birmingham, I got a phone call that said, be prepared to play your song in Jimmy's dressing room. So I almost drove off the road, you know, and I said, okay, yeah, not a problem. And still had my guitar in the back seat from the night before. And I got to Birmingham, and I got to meet Jimmy, and I played my song. And then he surprised me and said, well, you know, I got a little something for you too. And he ended up playing my song, but rewritten. Instead of it being Dear Jimmy Buffett, he wrote one called Dear Matt Hoggett. And then he invited me to play on stage, and I did. I think it was in front of about 14,000 people. They invited me to come back 2 nights later to Tallahassee, and I went back and did it all over again, and felt like my world was just spinning. I went off on a tour and played all the Margaritavilles you could think of between New Orleans, Nashville, and Key West, Florida. And when I got to Key West, I realized that 19 years later to the day that I was in Key West as a teenager, I was playing in Key West, Florida, for Jimmy Buffett. And the crazy thing about it was, when I went to Key West as a teenager, we found out where Jimmy lived. I hope he's not listening to this now. And I went out and videotaped his house from the street. And at the same day, 19 years to the day later, that I was standing in front of his house in Key West, I was staying in his house in Key West for 3 days playing shows down there. And I thought that was crazy, you know. And they ended up recording a bunch of those shows for me. They sent us a sound engineer down. Jimmy's piano player, Mike Utley, his son, produced the record for me, and it's going to be out probably either this month or next. They're working on the artwork for it now. It's going to be called Hotter Than Fish Grease. It'll be 11 tracks, and one of them will be me and Jimmy singing Dear Jimmy Buffett together, and it'll be on Mailboat Records. So all this came as from one obscure song contest entry, Thank God for that, right?
I got a woman, she's a big deal. She can work a bobber on a Zebco reel, start a boat motor with just one yank, fix a broke paddle and a whiskey drink, but chillin' in the kitchen and cut off jeans. She gets to me hotter than fish grease.
That September weekend in 2011 really opened my eyes. That it reconnected me with why I was even doing music in the first place, when I saw all these people from Nashville and around Mississippi that were not afraid to just commit to what they were passionate about.
If you had to go meet, let's just say, for example, you wanted to meet Toby Keith. Any given day, how many people are there that probably want to meet him? Far more than we could count, and everybody's got at least one artist. If they're a songwriter and they're up and coming, there's at least one person that they really just are dying to get to know and to meet and try to learn from and aspire from. Well, there's only one Toby Keith, and there's only one Matt Hoggett, and there's only one of each of us. And if you had to go out and if Toby Keith spent the rest of his life he wouldn't be able to meet everybody that wants to meet him, you know, ever. It's just impossible. So what the Songwriter Festival does is it gives you a chance to not only watch and hear, but sit down next to, share a drink with, and eat a hamburger with, and converse with, and swap a guitar with all the people that write the songs that make, for the most part, most of these people that we thoroughly love and enjoy, the artists that they are, because you're meeting the architect behind the building.
It establishes a rapport with these, you know, wonderful songwriters from Nashville that have really put their blood, sweat, and tears into, you know, picking up everything and, you know, moving it to Nashville and giving up maybe their lives and to go there. I think that this next year is just going to be bigger and better. It's such a magical festival. People are catching on about this. There's so many talented artists, and I'm going to say artists. I'm not just going to say songwriters. I mean, it's a different caliber to be an artist. And there are some wonderful artists around here that are really benefiting from getting to hear professional songwriting in a face-to-face setting, and I'm sure that it inspires them to write more music and keep going, just like it inspired me. And I think that the general public is becoming more and more aware of this. We had a great turnout in 2012, and I'm sure it's even going to be better. A lot of great sponsors. This is an artistic community here on the coast of Mississippi, and they really are open to embracing different forms of art, whether it's pottery or songwriting. And songwriting is definitely a true art form.
And always remember that, you know, no matter how hard you work and how hard you try and what you learn and how much money you spend on it, it may come down to a song you wrote in 10 minutes in your kitchen in your underwear on a Sunday that wins the song contest that gets you on that big stage. It may not, that may be it, and God help me, that's what it was for me so far. So
got the feeling that you're something kind of special now. Got the feeling that you're someone I can't live without. When I'm next to you, get me high. When you're close to me, it's like I'm on a roller coaster, round and round I go with my emotions, and I don't know why, don't know why. Can you tell how I feel? Can you see it in my eyes? Is it real or just my imagination running wild? Oh baby, I've been searching my life for someone just like you. I'm crazy inside, be crazy if I ever wanna leave. This feeling inside, I'm losing my mind. Oh baby, I just can't describe this feeling now. Is it the real thing? Tell me you're with me. I got a feeling we got a good thing. Something in your eyes that makes me wanna notice you. Something deep inside that tells me you feel like I do. Feel your heartbeat when I'm next to you. Got the feeling I can tell how you feel. I can see it in your eyes. Is it real or just my imagination running wild? Oh baby, I've been searching my life for someone just like you. I'm crazy inside, be crazy if I ever wanna leave. This feeling inside, I'm losing my mind. Oh baby, I just can't describe this feeling now. Is it the real thing? Tell me you're with me. I got a feeling we got a good thing. No baby, I've been searching my life for someone just like you. I'm crazy inside, be crazy if I ever wanna leave. feeling inside, I'm losing my mind. Oh baby, I just can't describe this feeling.